Hi guys, it's Jay and you're listening to the Walk With Me podcast series. We are pretty far into our series, just a few episodes left together for the spring and summer series. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is the first time I'm truly cheating. I am not walking. I am driving today, but just because I'm cheating doesn't mean you have to. I hope that you are taking me out on a walk with you today. And I'm cheating because I took a walk actually in person with my friend Heather. I just drove down to her house. She just had a baby who's 3 weeks old, and this is my second time getting to go and meet her and spend some time with the baby. We're just 4 months apart in being pregnant together, and I went to spend some time with her, and her mother-in-law watched the baby while we went out and had some lunch, and we walked to lunch. So I got a nice walk in actually in person with someone today, but I still want to walk with you. And so I have a 30-minute drive home, and I thought I would drop in with you on the way and catch up. And actually today's episode, I want to feature some questions that I got from women who are on my email list at JeannineYoder.com. So I have a lot of new people on the list since the podcast launched, and I also have women that have been following me and receiving our Wake Up Wednesday. Before it was a podcast, it was a weekly YouTube show, and we've had women that have been following for years, some over 5 years, and I love to at least once a year survey my list and see what kind of questions and challenges you guys have and get a feel for where you're at in your relationship to running a business, whether you're a new coach or a seasoned coach, whether you have paying clients yet or not, and just feeling into what are some of the challenges that you have that you could drop into greater receptivity around and that would help you grow. Of course, so that I can focus our content on the things that would serve you most. So I'm going to actually provide a link in today's web podcast notes. Let's see how well I can drive and talk at the same time. I'm going to link to a survey today in the episode notes. And if you want to just take a second to share with me where you're at, I would love to first get to know that you're listening and that this newsletter is something that you receive each week, but most importantly on the podcast, because if I do another series, especially if I'm considering doing a winter series, I'd like to make sure that I'm touching on topics and things that are really close to home for you and that we can have those intimate conversations. So I pulled some questions today from the last survey that I sent to my list, and I thought we would just jam on them, and hopefully some of these questions will relate to you and be some things that you might want to receive support around as well. I am feeling pretty excited to have been so on track over the summer. I created this whole schedule, so I had hired a project manager to work with last year for the first time in business because my team had given me some feedback that ultimately I had this way of communicating with them where when I would get an idea, I'm what they call a quick start in, I forget the name of the test, and my project manager would hate me for forgetting the name of the test, but I basically learned about myself through doing one of those like business personality tests that I am a quick start. When I get an idea, I implement it fast and I want to get moving with it. And there are other people that are more of like facts driven and take their time and research things and move slowly. But I'm all about kind of having an idea and jumping in on it. And this means that my communication style also sometimes with my team is I would send off a lot of emails. We weren't in a system called Slack, and we weren't using Asana for communication. So I would just send off these like emails with a bunch of tasks in them. And for some reason I was so resistant to using Asana software or Slack. and I just couldn't get in there. So most of my team, who I have a copywriter on my team, I have an executive VA and client care specialist, which is one person. I have an operations manager who takes care of all our graphics and doing our newsletters and website backend. And that's it for now. But last year I had more team members. I've cut back a little bit as part of cutting back in my business this year. Last year I also had a project manager and a social media manager. And actually I did a great post about my experience working with a social media manager. If you've been curious about what that can do for your business, I didn't find it to be super valuable, and I did discover who it might be valuable for. So there's a blog post you could read if you're interested in that, or if that's an inquiry you've had about hiring a team member. If a social media manager would be good for you, you can read that on the blog. It's called, if you Google like Jeannine Yoder invested $10K in a social media manager, here are the results. You'll find an awesome article that will really educate you on what that process could look like and the results that are possible or didn't happen in my experience. So getting back to it, project manager, listening to the feedback from my team and seeing that it was frustrating for them to get these long emails with a bunch of tasks and vision, I wanted to get better at the team communication, and so a project manager was really important for us last year and the year before for getting into a groove. And so I've successfully learned through hiring a project manager how to use Asana and create big business strategies and plans, put them all into this software that helps delegate it to the team and hold the team accountable. And I was really nervous this beginning of this year, same time around, right after the big launch, right after I found out I was pregnant, right after my mom passed away. My project manager got really sick, and I was faced with this decision around whether I could move forward without her or not. And having a project manager was a big investment. It was about $2,000 a month to have a project manager on the team. And cutting back some things in my business this year, dropping that expense, would be really powerful. And I was so uncertain whether I would be able to handle it. And I learned so much by hiring one up front about how to create a plan. And because we have the plans in Asana, it's quite easy to duplicate them. And I actually become pretty skillful and masterful at creating business strategy plans and using the software and system. And was able to create a whole plan for our podcasts that delegated to the team, my copywriter, operations manager, and executive VA. And the way that we split up things in the podcast is I will record an episode on my phone. I send it over to my VA. She uploads it into all of the systems that we use, like Libsyn, which puts the podcast onto all its different platforms on YouTube, on iTunes, and then sends off the copy to my copywriter, who listens to the episode and creates the first draft of copy. I go over and she chooses a clip from the episode, and then she, I hope this is interesting to you. I just decided to launch into this. So you could see how the back end works and like how much support goes into creating something like this, because some people are like, let me just launch a podcast or let me just launch a blog, and there's a lot of work that goes into doing these things right. So my copywriter creates the first draft, picks the clip for Sharon, my executive VA. Sharon then designs social media a clip to go on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, from the episode. And our copywriter also writes social media copy to promote that episode 3 times a week, along with a newsletter and a blog and the description of the episode. Then I get pinged and I go through and personalize and edit and give final approval. and then that is passed off. Then copywriter gives it a final review, and then the copywriter passes it off and tags Tammy, our operations manager, who creates a newsletter and blog, which we send out through Report to our full list. And she schedules the social media on Hootsuite to go out onto Instagram and all our Facebook pages. And then our executive VA takes care of making sure the episode goes live, updating the YouTube description and SEO, which is search engine optimization. And then she also, let's see if there's anything that I'm missing. She creates through Planoly everything that goes out on Instagram, which is a software that allows you to schedule and automate Instagram posts. And then she also creates a story that the graphics for a story that will go out. And also Tammy, our operations manager, creates graphics to go with the episode for social media and on iTunes. So that is kind of the process. So we have that all mapped out for every single podcast episode. That's what goes into it. And there's a whole team I'm paying to support me in creating each episode. And there's a whole timeline that we stick to. And my goal was to complete all of the content for the year, for this year, by July 1st, so that starting July 1st, we have all the freedom to be in creativity and planning for the launch, and also so that my team and I can have a spacious summer, but that we have enough time before I go on maternity leave to finalize any programs and things that we want to launch in a big way before I unplug for 3 months. And so I created this whole plan for my team without a project manager this year in Asana, and assigned, reverse engineered all the tasks that it would take with some support from my executive VA, assigned it, looked at the deadlines based off communicating with the team as to how much we could really create each week. And even with going on vacation and leading a retreat and moving at a much slower pace, we have stayed on track. And so we only have 2 more episodes to film, and then I'm done by July for all of content creation for the entire year. And I've created a consistent way of staying in connection with the women who follow me, to create intimacy. And really the whole point of creating consistent free content to go out is so that you can build a relationship with people who haven't worked with you more intimately, or are making a decision around whether you're the right person to support them and if the services you offer are the best resource for them. And when you stay in consistent communication, particularly the key being in a way that feels good to you and is in alignment and is an expression of your gifts and talents and your best way of delivering your content and communicating, people get to know you, and they get to like you, and they get to trust you, and then that's when they'll be more confident in making decisions about working with you deeper, especially if that's going to require a financial investment. So I'm sharing this with you because I want you to know a bit of what it takes to put on a podcast. And if you're going to do all that by yourself, it's a big commitment. And also it really leads to the first question that I chose today from over 100 questions. And this comes from Shizumi. And she said, how do you attract clients without feeling needy or salesy? And I was thinking about this question, and it really is 2 different things. Feeling needy is more about your personal desperation, right? Like the structures and stability you have set up for yourself in your life. And feeling salesy is really about a connection to your work and a belief in your work and a desire to share that. And so how do you attract clients without feeling needy or salesy? So the needy part comes from taking care of yourself and knowing what your needs are. And when I think of needy, I also think of like desperation. Like, you never want to feel like when you have a prospect or someone interested in your work, like you are attached to them being a yes, because that energy can be felt and it just naturally repels us. And so you want to find the sweet spot in your work where you believe in your work and you're passionate about your work and you're excited to share your work, and you know that you're safe and secure and going to grow your business even while many people are going to be a no. And I actually think your comfort level and excitement for getting the no, the person who says, no, I can't invest in this one-on-one coaching right now, or no, I can't invest in your program right now, the more no's you have, the closer you are to a yes. And I think that is a way to get through the desperation and the neediness that can come, because so many of us, when you are starting a business, and I know this, I remember this from starting my own 8 years ago, you have this feeling like it's time to make money. And sometimes we have this self-inflicted timeline we put on ourselves that says, if I'm not making money, it's not a real business, and there's this rush to get those paying clients. And so first we have to really take a look at the challenge of opening our doors to a business, right? I thought about this recently. I don't know if I shared this in a past podcast episode, but I love getting my eyebrows threaded. Okay, and there was not a threading salon in my town. And I had to drive a good 20 minutes to get to the nearest threading salon. And one day I was driving down the main street in my town, which is 5 minutes from my house, and I saw a threading salon. And I was like, oh my God, where did that come from? How long has it been there? And I went in, and she said they'd been there for 5 months. And I was so disappointed that I didn't know sooner. And I just thought, I think the thing that caught my eye was a sign that they had outside. And it made me realize, first of all, we're so spoiled as online entrepreneurs, especially if you're considering becoming a coach. You don't know this. If you're already a coach, I want to remind you that we are so lucky in opening a coaching practice. Other than your personal education and your support system for your confidence in your coaching skills, and then some know-how of what exactly are the ways to get yourself started online, there's really not a lot of front forward costs. There is not a lot that you have to invest up front in comparison to brick and mortar businesses that usually have to go in debt to even open the doors. With a coaching business, you don't have to be in debt to open the doors to your business. And that is a really rare and beneficial thing, to be able to start a business not going into debt. So already you should feel less needy than most businesses are because of that. And you really help yourself to be realistic about the timeline that it takes for people to know that you exist. And your efforts are better put not being needy with people who know about your work, but putting your effort and your thought into the importance of getting the word out there. And I mentioned that eyebrow studio because the thing is, there are people out there waiting, looking for and wanting what you have to offer. And there's no one who's going to offer what you offer in the way that you do. Even if you are selling the exact same coaching package and price, there's no way your coaching is not going to be unique to you. And there's someone out there who wants it exactly the way that you're going to be experienced to provide. So your job is to really spread the word that you exist. And that kind of leads to so let me see if there's anything else around neediness. Make sure that you're meeting your own needs. And before every prospecting, act, meaning any time that you're putting the word out there with the idea of finding the right people to receive your work, make sure that you're checking in with yourself, that you're coming from your passion and your desire for people to know that you exist, and not from your neediness for money. And set yourself up with structures and systems and support that allow you to feel secure whether you get that client or not. And most importantly, know that every no leads to a yes, so celebrate the no's. The more no's you have, that means the better you're doing at spreading the word, the more people are coming to you and checking you out. And if it's not right for them, you're only one step closer to the person who it is right for. And when it comes to being salesy, what you need to know is that when you are providing your calling, when you're doing your calling, you don't have to sell. All you have to do is follow your bliss in your work and provide what you have to offer. Give people a taste of it, whether that's in some consistent content that you put out every week that feels fun, in a way that feels fun for you to do it, whether that's in a discovery call, which I highly recommend doing. If you're starting a coaching business, you should be doing multiple discovery calls every week, just letting people know and experience what it's like to work with you. And if you're doing that, the salesy part is more about you just getting over yourself and recognizing that what you're doing is worthy and needed. And I can't think of work that's more needed than coaching. We all need to have that support to evolve and rise up to challenges so we can be better leaders in the world. And coaching is really the art of helping people ask better questions of themselves and become empowered. And that is easy to sell. If you love what you're doing, focus on your love for it and focus on the value it provides. One of the best ways I've experienced to get out of feeling salesy is to recognize and invest in yourself first. If you want to become a coach, hire a coach. And you will then believe in the value of investing in one and have your own personal results. And when you can share those, it helps you not to feel salesy. It helps you come from a place of truth. It helps you to really say, I've been there. I know what it's like to be asked to invest in something, and I did it, and this is why I believe in it and what it did for me. And when you're coming from that heart-centered belief in your work and that heart-centered belief in the experience that it provides and having the experience, that's what helps you to feel authentic. And in order to have belief in your own work, you need to be practicing it. You need to be coaching. And whatever it takes for you to get out there and coach a lot, the more you see the value that your work provides, the less salesy you'll feel and the more excited you'll feel to share it and to receive an energy exchange for it, because you'll recognize that you're putting in the time, effort, and work, and you deserve an exchange for that. And I think those are the two ways to really come into your sovereignty, Shazimi, and move through the feeling of neediness or salesiness. So, the next question that I have, let's see if I can peek while I'm driving, is comes from Melissa. And she says, I want to be able to trust myself and dare to share my truth. I believe the most present challenge is to find ways to attract clients. I have the knowledge, although I'm always studying and learning, but I need to have more clients so I can get money so I can make my business profitable. So this is connected to the last question, and I think the main thing is when you're walking your talk and you're an expression of your work, people are going to be drawn to you. And when you know your work really well, you attract ideal clients. And so there's something to being consistent. Like I said, the best way is to be consistent and showing up so people begin to know that your work exists. Like that eyebrow studio, right? Like it was an easy yes for me, and I knew it was right for me as soon as I knew that it was there. You just need to find a way to make sure people are aware that you have something to invest in. So I an experience comes to mind right now. I'm working with a woman in my mastermind who's an amazing photographer. She does something called soulography sessions. And her zone of genius is that she really sees your soul, and she has expertise in coaching after studying in my signature program, Mentor Masterclass. And she is merging her skills and passion for coaching with helping people drop into their confidence and real beauty in a photo session. Now, we've been working on strategy with her for this year. She was in Mentor Masterclass for a year, training to be a coach and launching her business and learning how to merge that with her talent and niche as a photographer. And now we're taking that to the next level as she's in the mastermind this year, working with me more intimately in a smaller group, and we're getting down to her feminine business model. So what we looked at for her strategy is how does she love to share, and what best expresses in the way that she likes to share and that makes sense to her work. And we discovered that photos are obviously a visual thing is really important for her. And then also before and afters, like seeing what a photo shoot looked like before she knew a client and before a client went through, like at the beginning of the session without her coaching, and then what kind of picture she got because of her talent. And I gave her the task of doing these before and afters consistently on social media and posting pictures from her photo shoots and telling us more details about what she does behind the scenes. And as she's been posting consistently now for the last 3 months, what's happened is there's a buzz that has built around her photography. People are noticing and starting to get a feel for her work because of her consistency and posting these shoots, and most importantly, that she's sharing in a way that she's excited to talk about. She's not just doing social media posts to do them, like posting a inspiring quote. And she's talking about her shoots. And then the other element is I'm making her always have a call to action and awareness that she has photo shoots available. One of the biggest problems people have in profiting their business is either they don't know, and I've learned this over the past 8 years working with coaches getting started, they don't know who they serve or the value of their work, or because they haven't done enough of it. They haven't spent enough time coaching and asking for the feedback from those either free clients or clients that are trading for a testimonial. These are some of the strategies I help people in my training decide if they're right for them. They don't know the value of their work or who it's really for because they haven't done enough of it, or worse, they've never got any training and they're just trying to go off of books, or they have a misinterpretation of what coaching is. They think that coaching is providing advice, and so there's too much of themselves wrapped up, not enough expertise. So that's one of the issues in attracting clients, is not knowing who you're attracting and who your work is right for. And so you've got to get the experience in and the support and the feedback, which is why I love mastermind groups. And every month in Mentor Masterclass, I have the women who are in training coach in front of me so they can see each other and get my feedback about what makes them unique as a coach and help them to really identify who their work is for, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second is they don't know what their pricing and their packages are. They're like wanting to make money in their business, and yet they're thinking that they can do that not knowing exactly what the package is or program is that they want to offer, how much it costs, who it's for, all of those pieces. In order to call people in, you need to know really clearly and confidently what your pricing and packages are. And then the other piece to that is you need to have the space in your life to call in the client. So the other thing is it'll be like, I want to make money in my business. Maybe you know who, you've done enough free coaching to know what you're good at and who you serve and what kind of coaching you love and hate and what results you get people. You've created your packaging. You know how many sessions they get, how much they cost. You have an idea of the coaching model that you're going to use and what you're going to take them through. And then it comes time to get them on your calendar and you don't actually have the space in your life to hold 10 paying clients, let's say, or you don't even know how many clients you actually want. So that's the other piece. You need to know how much money do you want to make? And so how many clients do you need to have? And then do you have the hours and the space in your calendar ready and waiting for those people to come into? These are the energetics that people feel, and they either feel open to and like you're ready and have the capacity to serve them, or there's some block that's more of an energy block, a belief system block, a literal scheduling block that's keeping you from actually having the space to provide the services. And once all of those things are in place, then you can move into things like providing consistent free content, like how I do through a podcast currently, or through a free webinar, or like Danny, look what we came up with in her VIP day together, where this strategy of sharing these photos consistently at least once a week and using images and describing behind the scenes. And then you need to make sure people know that you have an opening. And it's important. People are so busy. They need a call to action. They need to be told that they need to make this decision now. And so providing that in your marketing is important. And you do that by saying, listen, you give them a date from which to respond, and you make sure they have the details they need to book with you. I was catching my client in this, and I know she won't mind me sharing this because she's open about this. She was sharing, and then she was doing the photos and talking about her work, and then there was no link. And I could see there was, 47 comments of like, oh my God, these photos are so beautiful. I can't wait to book my session. And I wrote her right away, and I was like, every single post needs to have a call to action and an update on what's available. Meaning we need to know, how many spots do you have left? When are they available till? How much time do I have to make this decision? And if I want more information, what is my next step? And you need to provide that. If you're providing free content, if you are serving in some way, you always should be unapologetic about receiving at least the person's interest and attention in exchange for you saying, and this is how you can work with me deeper. This is what I have available, and here's a call to action for those who are ready. So be willing to call them in. So Melissa, I hope this helps you to learn how to trust yourself better, share your truth more about your work, and most importantly, go from being a hobby into a profitable business. And these are all the steps that I take in my signature program, Mentor Masterclass, to help women walk through and hold them accountable to and get clear on. So I cannot believe it, but I think that's all the time I have today for questions. I have a bunch more, so maybe the next episode I'll answer some more if you guys like these. And I would really love for you to take some time to fill out the survey so I can feel into what is your biggest question for me. What's something that you would like to jam on? If we could go on a walk together, what would you want to ask me so you could pull on all the expertise I have from the last 8+ years of running a successful online coaching business, getting intimate with women who are starting their coaching business, both in their, I love healing questions. I go deep with all my clients. My program is so much more than a coach training program. It's actually really about a 1-year space for these women to heal everything and anything in their life that is keeping them or holding them back from feeling really confident and ready to be successful. And then knowing exactly what to do and where to focus and how to launch a successful business. So what questions do you have for me, and what else do you want to see? And also I want to know if the podcast format is working for you. Do you want more podcast episodes? Would you rather be on video? Do you want more in-person opportunities? Take a moment. The survey will take you 3 minutes, and I think it'll be really insightful for you. And I even included a few questions that might be just thought-provoking and transformational questions, because I like making you think. And I'm excited to see what you have come up with, and I'll use those for future creations for you. and really excited. Kate Northrup, we have her rescheduled. We're going to film this week for one of our final 2 episodes, and then maybe by our final episode I'll know what I'll be offering for the closing of the year, maybe not, and I'll have made a decision about whether we're going to continue this series. Make sure if you want me to continue this series, shoot me a note on Instagram, Jeannine.Yoder, either comment on a post or DM me, direct message me, and let me know if you want more podcasts, if you want another series. If you've loved these, I'll keep them going. But I would love to hear your encouragement and your feedback. And of course, if you haven't left a review yet, can you take a second right now and leave a review, and make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, and so that I can get this to more people and have a platform to maybe post some more if that's what you like. Thanks for being with me on my drive. I'm sitting in traffic and not home yet, but almost there. My exit is coming. I hope you had a great walk, and I hope that some of the answers to these questions were valuable for you and supportive for you. And like I said, I can't wait to see your responses to the quick survey and to get a feel for what have been your favorite things we've discussed and what more to bring to you in future episodes. I hope all is well, and that you are, I think when you receive this episode, it should be already July or August. So actually, as I'm thinking about it, you'll definitely know what the next offering I have for you is going to be, and how I'll be completing the year, content-wise, what I have coming up. So, whatever I've decided, speaking from a moment in the past, I hope you're excited about it and check it out. And if you don't know what it is, I'm sure we'll have updates on JeannineYoder.com. Thanks for listening today and being on this walk with me. I look forward to the next few episodes and closing out this series together strong. And I'll talk with you soon.